Right, so if you're running any sort of project or business online or thinking about launching one, then the chances are pretty high that you're going to need a website to manage the content that you would like to post related to your project or business. And that's where content management systems come into place. And that's what we're going to be discussing today and how you can choose one. But before we jump into that, my name is David Mansouri, and I'm a developer and consultant, and I help businesses with technologies to grow online and optimize their operations. So now that's out of the way, let's jump straight into the topic of today. So how do you choose a CMS? Right, so I think the first thing that you need to be clear on is what sort of content you're going to be posting on this website, and what your content creation process is going to look like. So this is going to be very different if you're a solo site operator, right, versus a larger team that is going to have different people dedicated to different things. And I think that's going to influence a big deal, because the more people that you have on a team, then of course, the more speciality skills that you're going to have, and the CMS can cater to those different skills and provide a way for everyone to work together in a way that makes sense for the specific use case. So if you're a solo site operator, then you're probably going to want to use a platform that takes care as much of the process as possible and just makes it really simple. Obviously, WordPress comes to mind, but there are many more. And so this is, I think, the first consideration. And the next consideration is obviously going to be the user experience, which is related to what my first point was, but I think it's different because you might want a CMS to do more for you, but if you are a more technically inclined, then the CMS may not need to take care of as many things as it would for somebody that isn't. So for example, if you are able to edit HTML and CSS, or if you understand maybe even some JavaScript, then what you are going to want access to is going to be very different from somebody who doesn't, right? So I think being clear on who's going to be interacting with the CMS and making sure that for their specific role, the CMS either hides complexity away because they're less technically inclined, or it is something that's going to allow them to access and make changes in line with their technical capabilities. I think the next point is vendor lock-in, because a lot of the platforms out there sell themselves as one-click solutions, everything that you need to publish a website. And in many cases, these platforms can do a lot of what they're promising, but when you read through the marketing website, what they are not going to point out is how difficult it is to move to another platform if you want to. So you're going to want to make sure that you're clear on your ability to export content, and what format you'll be able to do that, so that you can transition to another platform if you need to. And this is something that users often don't keep in mind when they're starting their first project or first couple of projects, because they're not anticipating needing to move to another platform. But if you haven't thought about my next point, which is future growth of a project, then you might not consider whether or not the platform is going to be suitable for you moving forward, right? And what I've seen happen often is a project has been started using a platform, and then naturally the project has grown, and there are now more needs, right? We need more features, we need the platform to serve more users, and perhaps this platform is just not relevant anymore because it's too expensive, or the team is bigger, and we need controls over, you know, who can access what, and maybe the platform you've chosen doesn't allow for that. So it's important to think about whether or not you're able to switch to another platform easily. And often this is a trade-off, right? So if you want a platform that's going to do a lot of things for you, then that often comes with a situation where it's harder to switch to a different platform. It's not always the case, but very common. So I would encourage you to take a look at what it's going to take to export content should the need arise. But you shouldn't have to do that necessarily if you've considered what future growth for the project might look like, and what features you might need. So you might start off with just needing a blog, and perhaps, you know, you start to get a lot of visitors to your website, and now you want to sell things online too, right? So if your platform is not able to offer that functionality, then that's a situation where you might need to move, right? Or you can, there are other ways you can add technologies without having to move. Perhaps you can use a subdomain, but that's another topic. And I think the next thing that you need to consider is hidden costs and your budget, right? Because a lot of these platforms, they advertise their lowest plans, and they can seem very attractive, or sometimes they're even free, or they appear to be free, right? But there are always costs involved, right? That might only be hosting, but it can also involve customizations or additional plugins, or the cost of getting someone to help you with certain customizations. So that's definitely something to dig deep into. Platforms that sell themselves as free are often not, and I'm yet to see a situation where there isn't some sort of cost involved, even if it is just the hosting. Right, so on this point, if you're using what is called a hosted platform, so you're not paying for your server separately, so the project is hosted by the company providing your CMS, you might want to, or it's very important that you take a look at how they calculate how much you've used the platform. Some of them calculate based on page views. Sometimes it's by the amount of traffic that you're getting, or the amount of bandwidth that your site is using. And this might not be something to concern yourself with in the beginning, but I've seen lots of situations where something that was costing, I don't know, $20 to $50 a month, and then, you know, as the project has grown, it's now getting a very hefty fee because of the bandwidth being used. But then it's difficult to move to another platform, so then it's a tricky situation. Do you pay to move to another platform, or do you just pay the fee that this platform is now demanding? That's a business decision. And the next thing is, I would say, is definitely to test before you commit to a platform, right? So I would suggest going into these different platforms, and most of them have like a free plan where you can try things out, create some content, and discuss this with whoever needs to be part of the process. That might just be you, or if you have other team members, and figure out which is going to be the best for your needs. All right, so I wanted to jump in and take a look at some different platforms available. Right, so obviously we can't talk about CMSs without talking about WordPress, right? WordPress powers approximately 40% of the internet. And that's for good reasons. I would say that for most projects getting started, WordPress will do the trick, right? Um, it it started off as a blogging platform, so a classic content management, but because of the plugin ecosystem, you can add a lot of functionality to a WordPress site. And I would say most projects can run on WordPress. It's obviously not suitable for everything, but I think that for most people and most projects, it does a good job. There's also Wix. I would say that Wix is targeted at small businesses and solo site operators as well. Um, you can get started with a lot of different templates, and I would say that for a lot of small projects, Wix would do. However, if you find yourself in a situation where your project needs to grow and you want some more advanced functionality, then Wix probably isn't going to be the right solution. And I've seen lots of situations where businesses or entrepreneurs have started with Wix because it was really quick to get started, but realized that it's no longer going to meet their needs and had to move. And now I've had to help with that a few times. And then we have Squarespace. I would say that Squarespace is very, very similar again. They seem to have pivoted and they're focused on helping people sell online, but this is another CMS for managing your content, and they can help you sell products online as well. And then we also have, Webflow. Webflow, I would say, is targeting mostly those who have knowledge of HTML and CSS. It's a really, really nice platform for creating really nice websites without having to deal with all of the website files. But you do need to know HTML and CSS to be dangerous with the platform. But this is a platform where I've seen people create websites on it that look beautiful, but because of the way that the pricing works, they've been hit with huge bills later on because they've been getting a lot of traffic to their website. So that's definitely something to keep in mind with Webflow. Framer, I would say, is very similar to Webflow. Again, this is for I would say it's mostly for designers that want to build websites. So if you've got a specific type of website that you want to get built and maybe you're hiring someone, then Framer might be a good option if you want to empower your designer to do that. Drupal is a content management system that I would say is good for larger projects. Drupal used to cater to smaller projects or be more suitable, but as it's become more complicated and upgrading from previous versions was quite a heavy lift, I would say this is a content management system that is suitable for enterprise and businesses that have the budget for it. I would not recommend it for really, really small teams or solo site operators. That's not in any way to take away from the capabilities of Drupal. It is really, really powerful, but not for small size projects, I would say, or small teams. I've worked on a number of projects where it's made sense for them to move from Drupal over to WordPress. Right. Next, we have Strapi. This is what we call a headless CMS, and this is definitely for bigger teams or technical teams, because it's essentially a way to manage your content and the presentation of that content separately. And that's going to require development. But if you're on a project where you have multiple members of the team, and you have those who are going to be able to take care of the front end, then it might be the best solution, especially if your content needs to go or needs to be served for a number of different platforms. Let's say a mobile application or a website as well. And then we have Contentful, and that is also a headless CMS, which does the same thing. Won't go into too much detail in this video. HubSpot, probably should have mentioned this earlier. This is a CMS that's focused on lead generation and lead scoring. So it makes it really easy for teams of marketers or salespeople to publish content, but then also have all of the related data captured, or the data that they might want captured easily integrated with their CMS. CRM, sorry. So the CMS and the CRM can communicate together. So this is a situation where it's a CMS that's specialized for sales and marketing teams. It's not the cheapest, right? So they do have a free plan, but if you're going to be combining it with their CRM and some of the other sales tools, then it does add up, but can make a lot of sense for a business with the budget. Statamic, this is a great CMS. I would say that it targets developers. Developers love using Statamic. I love using it. It does have you will need a developer to help you set this up, but if you find that you don't want to deal with some of the drawbacks of a system like WordPress, I would highly recommend checking out a system like Statamic. All right, so those are the CMSs that I'm going to cover today. I haven't gone into a deep dive into any one of these, but that is going to be something that I'll do in up and coming videos. But for today, just wanted to provide an overview of how you can go about choosing a CMS. I've written an article on my website, which I have linked below, which you can check out if you want some more information here. Let me know if you found this video helpful. This is today's video on how to choose a CMS, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.